Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Spin-It Social Hour. My name is Stefan Kaplan, and I am the founder of the Spin-It Social Hour, now in its 31st week. Wow, 31 weeks into this show. Amazing. Also, a deep breath, everybody, right now, because we know as this show is going on, what we're waiting for, right? So here we go. Deep collective breath. If the news breaks during the show, please feel free to chime in and let us know. I am going to concentrate on our photographer this week, who is Marj Kleinman. I can hardly wait to bring her on. But first, a little more about the Spin-It Social Hour. I founded the Spin-It Social Hour. It's a labor of love. Excuse me. This election's got us all a little tired this week. The Spin-It Social Hour is labor of love, based out of care and concern for our photo community. When this pandemic hit, I decided that I was going to reach out and I was going to help the photo community by putting all my skills together as a New York Times photo editor for many years, as a social media and visual strategist, working with the likes of the Pulitzer Prizes, AARP, the Jackson Charitable Foundation, and I work with Sri Srinivasan and his DigiMentors group, producing many live streams around the world. So when this happened, the photographers around the world were getting hit hard economically by this pandemic. So I decided that I was going to let them tell their stories, show their work every week, and be on the Spin-It Social Hour. So it is a pleasure today to be here with you and bring on Marj Kleinman. But first, I want to acknowledge a sponsor, my sponsor, Real Talk Live from the Barn, brought to you by Emilio Pardo, a visionary brand strategist.
Hi there. Welcome to Real Talk Live at the Barn.
Real Talk Live from the Barn. We will be back soon with a new show, a show dealing with all issues surrounding COVID-19, from the economy to jobs to racial relations. And we are in the process of creating a new show, and we will be on the air very soon. But today we are here to honor the work of Marj Kleinman from Brooklyn. And that is what we are going to do. So I am going to bring up the slideshow, and we are going to give her the intro that she deserves. Marj Kleinman is a visual storyteller and the creator of Stoop Stories. A lifelong Brooklynite residing in her childhood brownstone, Marj has spent countless hours stoop sitting with friends and family and loves sharing the stories of other stoop lovers. Since April, she has curated over 200 inspirational stories of strength and resilience, highlighting how New Yorkers are coping with COVID and social injustice. Her project has been featured by the New York Times, Time Out New York, Pix 11 News, and News 12, and you can check Marj out in several current exhibits, including ICP Concern, Global Images for a Global Crisis at the International Center for Photography, and Arts Gowanus Art Walk on Atlantic Avenue. She was also a contributing writer-photographer for Toca Boca magazine, exploring the power of play and creativity in childhood. In addition, her work has been featured in the New York Times, Time Out New York, PBS Parents, and Scary Mommy. Marj holds an MA in educational psychology from New York University and a BS in theater management from Emerson College. Everyone, please help me welcome our guest this week, Marj Kleinman. Hi, Marj.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Stefan.
How are you?
So glad to be here. And yeah, if there is breaking news during this, please let us know.
Hey, Ronaldo, nice to see you. We're going to give some shout outs as people chime in here. Bob Veritoni's here. Good morning. Good morning. Melissa, hello. Let's see who else is chiming in here. We have a great crowd. Woohoo! Yes, I love it. Okay. So we are here, you know. Oh my God, are we all like holding our breath or what?
Yes.
was hoping we could pop a bottle of bubbly, but I should have had one ready just in case. If I seemed a little like, woo, I'm like, yeah, me too, because it's been a hell of a week.
Yeah.
But, you know, one of the great things about having you here this week, and I'm so excited. Good morning, Holly. Good morning from Providence, Rhode Island. Julia Weeks is here.
Yeah.
Who brought us together. Thank you, Julia. Sue Darby is here. Good morning. So we like to give shout outs as they come in, because I wasn't doing that early on until later in the show, and I don't feel it's right. You got to acknowledge the viewers and let them know that we love them and we're happy they're here. So please, everyone, share this Spin It Social broadcast so that everyone knows about Marj and her work and our growing Spin It Social Hour community. So Marj, it's wonderful having you here because you're all about community. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little about your journey, first of all, into this phase of your life, how it evolved, and where you're at now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's great to be here. I mean, I started in theater doing stage management and tech and design and props and some musical theater performing. And then I wanted to do stuff for kids. So I got into children's television and worked in that field for over 20 years. I guess I'm sort of still connected to it. And then went into interactive websites and games for kids, worked at PBS Kids and Noggin and Scholastic. And that's why I got my master's in educational psychology, because I wanted to make sure I understood the pedagogy and the foundation behind what we were doing. And then, you know, I've always done photography since I was a kid, and especially travel photography and just documenting life. And eventually, and I've always loved documentary work and had done some of that over 10 years ago. And so I guess that I was led back to photography sort of organically. My dad was ill and I was taking care of him a couple of years, 5 years ago. I started just to say, you know what, children's media production was really intense and I needed a break. And I was like, I'm going to do some photography for a while and see if I can make that all happen.
That's great. I mean, you have the perfect evolution into this space, because you have a great educational background. And I think whenever you're dealing with community, you want that. And, you know, you're it, man. You are a native Brooklynite, born Hill girl, born and bred. And now, you know, the special part, that photo at the end of the slideshow, which we'll show again, of course, you know, I had to go digging, is of your beloved mom. And I had to put it up there because, wow, that's the same brownstone you're living in now.
Yeah, yeah. See, I told you.
Sorry, I don't mean to get you all in those.
It's okay. Crying is good. Yeah, I have. I'm living in the home that my parents bought and renovated in 1969. I have my dad here next to me. I know I have friends of his and family that are watching. So, yeah, I mean, both my parents passed, and I'm missing them a lot right now, and I'm living in their legacy. So, this project really is a labor of love and a dedication to them, I would say.
Yeah, you know, like I said, this is a labor of love too. So you know what? It's a dedication to those that have helped us get to this point in many ways. In your case, definitely. In my case as well. You know, I was raised by my grandparents in Greenwich Village, and although I didn't live in a brownstone, I lived in 2 Fifth Avenue. The brownstones around Washington Square Park were where I sat many, many years.
Oh, wow. I love that.
Yeah. So all the brownstones around Washington Square Park were my stoop. So I can relate to you and what you've done. And it really touched my heart because, man, I used to love sitting on the corner with the hot dog guy. John was his name, and just hanging out there for hours.
I love it.
You know?
We actually did a stoop story on Washington Square Park stoop because there was a protest there, and the guy that organized it, we just chose to do it right across the street. So it's a good spot. I
went digging for an old photo and I couldn't find it. I should have started digging earlier. But anyway, I also lived in West Village for a period that has a lot of course, beautiful brownstones. So anyway, but on the screen here, folks, is the reason why Marj and I were brought together. I always want to give a big shout out to my dear friend and colleague, Julia Weeks, and her partner, Isra. Israpanon. They both brought us together, and here is a clip from their Navy Yard neighbor BK. Please check that show out with them. So it was wonderful, and thank you so much, Julia and Isra, for bringing us together. There, I said it, Stoops and Fire Escape. What's more New York than that? So, you know, so Marj.
And when was that? Was that in May or June? No.
Oh God, it's been a while, but we've been, you know, trying to figure out when to get you on, and here you are. You know,
we were talking when I was at the beach once.
That's right. That's right. You were chilling at the beach, and I was trying to coax you into getting on a show. But you know, let's get into the essence of this community. Activism in communities, community relations, and let's start off with this beautiful family and tell us more about Stoop Stories and how you what makes for a great Stoop story.
Thank you. I just want to mention I had started Stoop Stories over 10 years ago, interviewing neighbors on their stoops on film and talking about the old days in the neighborhood. And then when lockdowns, it kind of got put on a shelf. And when lockdown started, it was just the perfect vehicle for photographing families. They were at the top of the stoop. I was at the bottom. It was like a perfect 6 feet distance. And this is one of the many families in my immediate area. I was doing everything on foot for most of the lockdown. So it was, you know, mostly the families near me, and we've expanded since then. But this family lives actually a block away. Oh, okay. And this was Simon's birthday, and he's on the top left. And he had his mom said Simon chalked this mural of George Floyd. It was like within a week, I think, of his murder. And I just popped over and I was like, this is it. So we, it's an incredible, I love this image so much. I think it's one of my favorites. I love that it's intergenerational. So you have grandma at the bottom.
Yeah,
and parents in the middle and the kids at the top.
I have a closer shot of it, and I should have had it at the beginning. So I'm probably going to drive people crazy going here. Wow, I thought I did.
No, it's true. It's okay.
All right, sorry, folks. I thought I had it. I wanted to pull it. It's such a beautiful mural, you know?
Oh, I know. It's gorgeous. And Simon's now in college, and you know, I tag him every time I post, and it's been in so many. It's actually in this exhibit with Paper Girl, BK, which we can talk about. And it's at the Art Walk on Atlantic and Hoyt. So this is a very special image. It tells a story, you know.
Well, I love that, you know, they have happy birthday, Simon, on the stoop. You know, stoops are where it's at in many neighborhoods like Brooklyn and, like I said, the West Village and other places. And, you know, they're a part of life. And people think of, remember back in the days, they used to play not only stickball, but stoop ball.
Yes, before my time, but Spalding, my dad told me all about that. Yeah, stoops have always been a place where people hang out and share stories, and it literally became one of the only safe spaces in Brooklyn for people to connect in Manhattan, and both physically and emotionally. And I think the idea of how stoops connect community, it's really powerful. And I think that this city we're gonna have to rebuild. So.
Yeah, no, we are. Edward had a great comment. What was Edward? Edward always has great comments. He's one of the biggest fans of the show. Love Edward. He's a great guy. Edward says, the stoop is a transition to another stage, one that is outside, unscripted, and real to the play production of life. And the camera and eye capture the magic for us all. Edward needs to write books. And also, you know, he's amazing.
Beautiful. Well, and we've also done Stoop Stories on the steps of, the stoop right next to Stonewall Inn. They're doing weekly protests for Black trans lives. And that's been a pretty phenomenal, I know I'm going to make you now have to go hunt for it, but that's been a pretty phenomenal. So stoops are actually not just a place you sit and chat and share stories, but it's also a literal platform for, you know, speaking your mind. People clapped on their stoops during, you know, the essential worker clap every day. It's just a really, it's a literal and figurative platform.
That's right. We'll get to that photo. I don't want to give our viewers vertigo by me going through photos like that. I'll get a phone call from someone in a minute saying that you're doing that again. Don't do it. But anyway, so, you know, I love this photo as part of that story about this family, because this is such a beautiful moment. I mean, just sitting on the stoop on a nice afternoon, early evening, playing the guitar to his wife. It's just this is Brooklyn. This is what I love it. I love it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that actually is how I had met them once before, but there was a block party that day, and I photographed this, and then obviously the mural isn't up yet. So that's when a week later they called me.
Right.
And they're an immigrant family. Like he's from Jamaica, she's from France, and they're raising these total Brooklyn kids, but they've started this new life in New York, and they just, they're one of many amazing.
It's one of the true beauties of this city, and not in my opinion, the true beauty. And it's becoming more and more part of our nation, even though we're going through a lot of strife right now. We are a multicultural nation, and don't we ever forget it. Okay. So that's my statement.
Well, and along those lines, if I can just mention, my area, which was very different when I was a kid, has become a very wealthy area. And so I was doing everything on foot, but now, we've been trying to expand out to all the other neighborhoods of Brooklyn and tell more diverse stories, especially from underrepresented voices. Because I don't want this, it can't just be a story about wealthy families or white families. I want to make sure, as an ally, I do not want to center, myself or whiteness too much in this experience.
Right. No, absolutely. And one of the things I love most about your project is the diversity of the communities, of course, of the community and the communities, and just the messages. I mean, listen, we have been hit tremendously hard by this pandemic. The whole nation has. In fact, I think I just saw this morning that just yesterday, oh my God, was this actually possible? 100,000 new cases in one day?
Yeah, I heard that too. It's awful.
Oh, I mean, please, here's to new leadership very soon.
Yes.
It could be in the next minute, and I'll be jumping up and down like a crazy man. So, but anyway, tell us about this person here, who I believe is a teacher, correct?
Yes, Annie. Annie is an activist. She's a teacher in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, which is one of the areas that was hardest hit. Mm-hmm. She's in her class alone, there were, of the children and staff, they had lost 14 people. So there were 14 deaths, not of the kids and staff themselves, but people they knew. And she was terrified to go back, as were a lot of her coworkers. And so she's been out there protesting for a safe return. So the sign says, "We will not die for the Department of Education." Right. And what's great is she's sitting on the steps of her elementary school where she was inspired to become a teacher in Chinatown. And that image was selected for the ICP show. So I was very, very honored.
Wait a minute. Is this on right near Mulberry?
Yes, I think so.
My God, I think my wife, if that's the same school, my wife went to that school.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Annie's amazing. She shared, we did a whole video interview with her. We've been collecting a lot of different assets to use for a bigger project later. Right. But she's just incredible. She's right.
No, it's, thank you for everything she's done by calling attention to the matter. This has been an incredible ordeal for so many people. But the one thing about Stoop Stories that also attracted my attention and really caught my my eye is the fact that it's not just always about stoops, but people in New York City create their own moments of stoop stories. I mean, you don't necessarily have to have a stoop, right, Marj?
Yep. I would say no stoop required a lot, although it's very iconic. But Jess and her daughter, they were one of the first. They were like day 2, I think. So this was probably early April. And they were like, "We don't have a stoop, but we have these 2 plastic chairs that we put out." And the yellow, who can plan for this? Like, it was pops of yellow. And they were just playing, and I hung out with them for a while. So it was
Julia wants a book Rose was Rose Horowitz. Follow her on Twitter at Rose Horowitz31, founder of Women to Follow, hashtag Women to Follow.
Oh.
Everybody should follow Women to Follow. And Rose says, I even sat on a stoop in Queens. Oh, yeah, a lot of stoops in Queens.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, what you see here is obviously, you know, a mom with her daughter. And, you know, listen, let's face facts. I actually, as of yesterday, we have a newly minted 14-year-old and now well into his teens. And, you know, it's getting a little stir crazy at times, you know.
Oh, yeah, they were going crazy out there. And she was, yeah, I mean, they played hopscotch. She was swinging her in circles and dancing. Right. They were doing clap for essential workers games. It was very sweet. Right.
Well, the thing, you know, about the community is you capture the real feel for everybody in these photos. And Cyrus says, love this. Cyrus Bamji says, a good friend and a colleague, love this as a platform for community and voice, takes it to a higher level when you capture the faces in actual convo versus looking at the camera. Great. Thank you so much. From LinkedIn. By the way, folks, we are now streaming the Spin It Social Hour to Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So please share this broadcast so everybody knows about Marj Kleinman, the Stoop Stories Project, and the Spin It Social Hour. Thank you very much. I adore this photo please, who are they?
Thank you so much. It's the Resistance Revival Chorus.
That's right. That's
right.
And
they're amazing. I've been inspired by them since right after the 2016 election. They came out with the Women's March and beyond.
Yeah, let's give everybody a quick taste of it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because we can't just show a photo of a choir. Now we're only going to go briefly here because we don't want to cause any problems with
copyright.
Right. Well, let's not say that word. So hold on one second. We're going to do this, and we're going to do this real quick.
I woke up this morning with my mind set on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind set on freedom.
All right, we're not going to go too far. We don't want to, but they have checked them out. An unbelievable group. Wow. But please tell us more about them, Marj.
Oh, thank you. They're incredible. It's a chorus of over 70 voices, women and non-binary singers. And they come out to all kinds of different actions. They were at the polls all through voting, early voting and voting, bringing joy to the polls.
That's right. Oh my God. One of their videos went viral.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
With a dancer. What is that guy's name?
I'm blanking on his name, but I know the dancer.
I think it's Kevin something. Oh my God, he's amazing. He does this amazing dance. And oh my God, he was working. He was killing it.
Yeah. Oh no. And they're incredible. I mean, the piece that you just showed is was the beginning, which is more subdued, but they really get into it and dance and move. It's a lot of energy. And they're using joy, which a lot of protesters are using, this whole Black Lives Matter movement, joy and love to lead. I don't think people hear that enough, that they might see what the mainstream media is covering, which is more, you know, anger and looting and whatever, but it's actually primarily a peaceful movement with a lot of love and joy. And the Stonewall protests, which are every Thursday at 5 p.m., they get all dressed up in sequins and gowns and boas and whatnot. And actually this Thursday, I just want to mention, a week from, what is that date? This coming Thursday, the Resistance Revival Chorus will be singing in support of the Stonewall protest.
Right.
On the 12th, if people want to come down or watch. I'm going to stream live. So
great. Okay. All right. Everybody keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Holly's comment there for a second. Holly said, what a superb way to preserve a way of life. It's more than just what is happening now. It is what makes a community wonderful. Absolutely. And Cyrus has another comment. Cyrus says, I've actually wanted to do something similar, especially during this contentious time. Amen to that, Cyrus. Except folks hanging out outside old barns in convo around the country. I love it. Go for it, man.
Interesting. And, you know, I just want to mention anyone who's interested in collaborating with us, we're really open. Anyone who wants to come on, we're sort of all volunteer run now. Like, we're all doing this out of passion. We're growing our team. Oh, and I should mention while I'm on that is my co-producer, Lara Weinberg, who oversees all the editorial. You know, we do these interviews, sometimes video, sometimes audio, sometimes written answers, but she will take all the raw copy and edit it down to a concise story that's got a punch. So she's a huge part of our team, and we have volunteers working with us, but we're looking for more people who want to help out.
Okay, so here's your chance to become part of something great. Marj Kleinman and Stoop Stories, and helping her tell the story continue, because I hate to say it, folks, we're not going to be out of this pandemic for a while. And
no.
Marj's project is hopefully going to evolve. All projects do, and we want to encourage her to do so, because this is community, this is life, and we thank her for her documentary work, and it really does hit home with all of us.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we really want to engage the community as much as possible. So absolutely,
it's also about the business owners. Let's remember the business owners, and we'll get into it also, the essential workers. You know, these business owners, oh my God, especially restaurateurs and bar owners and these places where people hang out and their lives are shaped for many years in some of these places. I know, for instance, that Megan here is a new business owner, and she walked right into it during the pandemic. You know, so tell us about Megan.
I'm getting really teary.
Sorry.
No, it's my neighborhood bar. Megan just opened the business like 6 or 7 months before COVID. She spent 10 years raising money for this business. It was her dream.
10 years?
10 years. It's called Someday Bar because she wanted to open a bar someday.
Oh, man. What a name.
She's incredible. She's got this flaming pink hair, and the pink flamingo is the logo.
Wait, she has flaming pink hair?
Well, most of the time it changes.
Wait. Stop. We got to see this in real life.
Yeah.
Wait, let me try to find a photo of her again. Hold on one second.
Probably next. I think she's.
We got to see her in real life. Oh, look who's here!
Oh my God! Surprise! Oh, you surprised us, Steph. I had no idea.
I'm all about surprises on this show. It's one of my trademarks.
That's awesome.
So Megan, welcome to the Spinach Social Hour. Thank you so much for being here. We hooked up to do this and let you talk a little with Marj about this whole project and your business. So please take it away, guys. I'm going to sit back and let you guys riff about this for a few minutes.
I mean, I'm super grateful. I mean, I met Marj. Actually, Marj was initially going to shoot my neighbor, pictures of my neighbor. And they had their wires crossed on, remember you were going to see Yvonne? Yeah. Their wires crossed. And I was spray painting a dresser, bright pink, on Atlantic Avenue in sports workout clothes. And she's like, well, Yvonne's not coming. Would you want to get your picture taken? I was like, oh, Lord. Okay. Not looking my best, but I'm so grateful for it because there is so much misinformation and misunderstanding about like what people that own restaurants and bars are going through. You know, we have our outdoor seating and we'll have days where we're packed. And we're like, oh, that's great. I'm so happy for you. You guys are going to make it. But, you know, the margins of bars and restaurants are so tight during the festive times. So when you go from being able to have 74 people seated inside, plus, you know, the in and outs, to having 32 people outdoors, you know, people just don't understand. And it's been really helpful, this whole project, to really get people to understand what we are going through and bring awareness to it. And also to help teach people how to how to act, because we do have so many rules put forth by the government right now that we're being held accountable for people as business owners and businesses where people can't even be responsible for governing themselves.
Right. Well, it's one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on also as a small business owner is my heart goes out to all the small business owners who are just busting their asses right now. Yes, I said the S word. But the bottom line is that that is what you're doing. And it's so hard. There's so much to recoup. God help us when this thing is even semi on track, that we all have to support you guys. And I wanted to make sure everybody, whether visiting Brooklyn or in Brooklyn, checks out Megan's establishment, Someday Bar NYC. Whoops, she fell off here. Let's leave her up. Here she is. Okay.
Sorry, having technical difficulties all morning.
Okay. I was just saying that we want to make sure everybody knows about your establishment, because that really touched me when Marj said that you built this, you saved for this for 10 years and you called it what you dreamed of, Someday Bar, you know?
Well, my partners actually helped me pick it out. I had this list of names that I'd been thinking of for years, but I'm a crazy OCD person. And so I had lists. And so the name of my list was actually my Someday Bar. And so we were out in the neighborhood exploring and seeing what, the neighborhood was lacking or needed, how we could add. Mm-hmm. And they were like, all those names are fine, but we're naming it Someday Bar.
Now, this is the thing that people have to understand. You're fully vested in your business, like many of these wonderful owners are of establishments like this that go and they visit the product. They check everything out to bring the best craft beers and other things into their establishments, make it a home away from home. I mean, you want to give a shout out to this craft beer maker here?
Well, actually, this photo is actually at a distillery. I spent a week each summer on the Bourbon Trail learning about whiskey. So I love craft beer, but I also love bourbon.
Okay, there you go. There you go. Well,
I was not there with her, but someone else took it, but it's a beautiful shot.
that is not Marj's photo, but we wanted to quickly give a shout out to her parents. No, we wanted to do that. I'm all about family, so I just wanted to make sure that we give a shout out to Megan's parents there, who are, I'm sure, very, very proud of their daughter being a small business owner. So,
one thing I want to say with the whole project with Marj and everything, a big thing that was important to me was meeting the neighbors. And it's hard when everybody's fully open and running their businesses, like meeting, local bar owners, even meeting my adjacent neighbors that own businesses. And I feel like this project has actually really helped me meet people. People saw your story and I didn't even realize what you're going through. I want to talk to you more. And that's really connected me to my community.
Well, I'm hoping that the 1-2 punch of Marj Kleinman and the Spinach Social Hour can boost your everybody knowing about your establishment more, about your journey as a small business owner. And I have to tell you, it's just, it's just wonderful being able to spread the word. So, and through pictures, of course, because that's what the Spinach Social Hour is all about, the journeys of our photographers. And look at this beautiful portrait that Marj did of you. I love it. It's just so great. Your hair with the beautiful mask and that logo in the background. Is that the official logo of your bar?
Oh, she dropped out. Yes, it is. Oh. I'm just going to answer for her. It's like an Alice in Wonderland thing.
Okay. Is that the official logo of your establishment?
The flamingo? Yeah. Upside down flamingo. We wanted to have a theme, but not something too cheesy. So we wanted something to be kind of obscure.
Okay.
And when you think of Sunday, you feel like you're laying in a field of flowers. Maybe you're a little tipsy, So that was where we got that.
The community that Marj has created with Stoop Stories continues to expand. So let's share this broadcast, folks, so that everybody gets to know more about Stoop Stories, more about Marj Kleinman, and more about the subjects in her documentary work, including Megan. But here's another great story, Megan. We're going to deviate off the path here a bit and go to another story here dealing with, I love this name, Paper Girl Tell us about Paper Girl BK, Marj.
these two creators are just so powerful. It's a community, open sourced or community sourced art project that's embedded throughout different communities in Brooklyn, particularly those that are not seeing as much art. So they put art in public spaces, and they had to change it a bit for COVID. So they wheat pasted the images on the walls, and then there's a QR code, and you can actually hear an audio accompaniment to the display.
Oh, okay. We're going to get into that a bit, but let's quickly give some shout outs. Any other shout outs going on here from our crowd? Because we have a growing viewership here, and we have at least 25 people watching live, and we have many, many comments coming in. Let's see if we have any. Edward says, I can't wait to hear which photographers in the history of photography inspired you. Oh, Edward comes out of the background there with that. He says, I too miss Brooklyn. I was at Pratt for my MFA. I love to jog from the campus across the Brooklyn Bridge and back. And I remember always staring up in awe at the Twin Towers. Oh, yeah. That's a tough one. Marilyn says, the toughest of all. Marilyn says, we're so proud of you, Marj. Who's Marilyn, Marj?
That's my aunt in Vermont. Thank you, Marilyn.
All right. So anyway, Paper Girl BK Brooklyn evolved, though, from another project I know that's global.
Yes, it started
from Berlin, right?
Sorry, what was that?
From Berlin, right?
Yes, it started in Berlin, and they adapted it to Brooklyn. And so they popped up they've rolled it out over time, over the last, I think, 5 weeks. And they started in Flatbush, and then they did Greenpoint, which is where we have an image. Yeah, you have an image. You have an image in their exhibit, right? Yes, it's that family with the George Floyd mural.
Right. So it's a pop-up exhibit that goes around to different neighborhoods.
Well, the exhibit, it's a different exhibit for each neighborhood.
Right. But the keyword is pop-up, right? So I think, I think things pop up like this, right?
I knew you were going to do that. Hi, you guys. They can explain it better than I.
Well, we should start by how we met.
Well, first, let's introduce everybody here. This is the creators of and people who run Paper Girl BK. Please introduce yourselves, Sina and Annie.
Hi, Sina. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Annie.
And
we met Marj. You, like many people who are contributing to the project, you'd emailed us, but then when we did our open call at BKC, which is a community focused, photography and creative area in Bushwick. And then you came into the backyard, and you brought your two really, really gorgeous prints of the George Floyd porch. Two quite large prints, which will then be given away later in the project.
Melissa says, this is your life, Marj Kleinman. I've been told that before. The show should be called not the Spinach Social Hour, but This Is Your Life.
It's incredible. It's incredible. But so go on.
What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say that I felt so connected to you guys. When I arrived, the energy was just so great there, and I loved what you were doing. And we actually have prints sponsored by Dougal. Dougal interviewed me. I think they were the first ones back in like April. They offered us as a surprise free prints for all my work through the end of the year. Plus,
wow.
I know, it's incredible.
Wait, bravo! Hats off.
Dougal, incredible.
I love Dougal. I used to do tons of my printing there. Business is not as good right now, but I have to tell you, they're great. So hats off to Dougal for doing it.
Yeah, they've been struggling as well. They donated all free prints to the essential workers and to anything to support our project. And so I was able to print these huge prints and bring them to Paper Girl, and they go around on bikes and distribute this art, rolled art, like the old paper boys, but good pictures of.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. So Sina, why don't you quickly, since you guys are such a a part of this project. Why don't you tell us quickly a little more about Paper Girl, and then Annie, you can chime in too. And I love the fact that you guys have a very special way of putting this artwork on walls, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I think what we'll do is maybe I'll talk about the storytelling, and Annie can talk. Annie can talk much better actually about the installation.
Okay.
So the background of the project is you mentioned that it's an open source project, and that idea is the collection of art, the exhibition of art, and the distribution of art. And so 10 years ago, when I did this in New York the last time, it was in a gallery setting. So Annie and I are working together, and the pandemic hits, and so we had to completely rethink how we were working with this project. And so we came up with the idea of wheat pasting, which actually solved that idea of how to make it accessible to more people. And so when we decided to bring it into 8 Brooklyn neighborhoods, we wanted to make sure that it was also a dialogue with the neighborhood to give that context in the larger area, to make it, we personally don't think that just bringing art into neighborhoods is very effective. There needs to be a dialogue and a communication. And so we brought in, so each location has the QR code where you can, yes, and scan it, and then you get connected to the audio program, and each location has its own audio program.
That is where it's at right now, and that is great. Wow, you guys are really taking it to new levels, new heights with the multimedia and getting the artwork out there to the community. Not waiting for galleries, but making the community walls and community space into real life galleries.
Yeah, making it,
exactly.
Yeah, Annie, do you want to talk about what the installation is?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, that was our main goal, to actually use public spaces where everyone can have access to it, and using some medium that was like sustainable, and also like in a way to incorporate this and put it up on the walls. So we basically, I have done it before in a very little scale with pasting, and I was like, okay, let's do it. Like, let's print, we duplicate the images that the artists contribute. Was more than 80 artists from 10 different countries, and that was like really important for us. Like, it was like, wow, like this is the way how we can unify not just the artist community, and in fact was like, we have in our podcast, part of our audio program, we have music too, it's like all these elements that are part of the community, and we wanted to put it together. So in these 8 different locations that are in 8 different neighborhoods, we have portions of the artwork exhibit. So each location is unique, and it has the complementary fact that is the audio program. And yeah, like we use, our supplies are a broom, the mix that we have to make every time, brushes, and yeah, just, you're willing to get your hands wet and just put it up. And yeah, it's really awesome to see people scanning and learning about not just about the project. It's more about the community.
I love the way, you guys get the project around, right, Marj? I mean, that they're able to use bicycles, which is great because you're not using cars, you're using bicycles to bring everything everywhere, to make everything more green and healthier for everybody. And it's also just, that's community, man, going around on bicycles. Tell us about this photo here that I grabbed off of your Instagram page.
Yeah, this is from Boris Niehaus, and he's over in Germany, in Berlin. So I also worked on this project, and gorgeous photographer as well. And
I want to actually go here for a second, because I had it in the opening slideshow. But one of the things I want to do real quick is I want to go to the actual photo that Marj took of you guys on the stoop, of course. This is Stoop Stories. And Marj, tell us about what brought you guys together, and also a little about the third subject in this photo, Justin, who we were hoping could join us, but maybe another time.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually kind of a cool example of collaboration is that I had seen their open call and donated this photo. I thought maybe that was the end of it. But I was like, no, they're doing something really amazing. Let's do a story about them. So like tables turned. And there were days where I would email them to ask them for something for their story, and we would get confused because they were like, no, we were asking you for something for our story. But I love their project. I think you guys, the podcast is phenomenal, and I really want to see how we can collaborate more because you've done something magical with communities. Like I listened to the episode on Brownsville/East New York, and there were so many preconceived notions I had about Brownsville growing up. It's dangerous, it's violent, et cetera, et cetera. And I happened to have just gone there on Halloween to do a project, to meet a family on their stoop. And we need to know more about these communities and see how we can learn from them and what their stories are about.
Well, that's why I really wanted to. Megan has dropped off, but I'm glad we got her on early, so we didn't have any technical problems when she was telling her story. But I wanted to, make this show very dynamic and bring on some, when you're talking about real life, you have to bring on real life. So I got on the phone horn yesterday, so to speak, and I was typing away feverishly, trying to communicate with different people. I'll tell you the truth. I was really working on also getting the choir on here, but I wasn't successful.
Oh, they're very booked up. I'm not surprised.
I tried. I
that's
messaged about 8 of them.
Amazing, Stefan. Amazing. But yeah, this image, though, I love that it was at the Bushwick. This is where the open call drop off was, and it's where this business is based. We are BKC, which Justin runs. And I remembered when they were in Dumbo, they taught photography classes and they do printing, and they were part of Photoville for years. Okay. And then they moved to Bushwick. Okay. And also growing up in Brooklyn, I never went to Bushwick. So it was like really cool to hang out there. And so they were all there. So we did this quick shot. Right. And I love that they were like, yeah, let's have Justin in it because he was a part of this project,
Absolutely. So. And I want everybody to make sure that they follow Paper Girl BK on Instagram and also check out papergirlbk.com. Please learn more about this great project, this great work by Sina and Anna.
Can I just add one thing?
Yes, please.
I mean, I think it's really important also that Marj and I were very much Stoop Stories. It's very much of a storytelling platform, and I think that's a really important approach when we're working in these art fields, is that there's a lot of listening. That's right. And I think by actually not giving your own input and actually listening to the stories around you is very important, and I think we kind of bonded over that.
Absolutely. And let's talk about
very differently, but
let's talk about global bonding here. Put that comment back on the screen, man. We've got viewers as far as
South Africa. Amazing.
How cool is that? I mean, this is the power of live streaming.
Paper Girl was in South Africa too.
What's that?
Paper Girl was also in South Africa.
There you go, David. Learn more about Paper Girl, please. And David is actually on this show now as a viewer because of oh my God, I'm so sorry. Because Jim and Holly Soul, who were on my show at least a few weeks ago from Providence, Rhode Island, great photographers. They know David. And now he's a viewer from South Africa. So I love expanding this community. I love being able to call attention to such great community projects, Stoop Stories, Paper Girl BK. So let's move on here a little.
Thank you, guys. That's amazing.
I wanted to put this photo in here because this reminded me of the project. Oops, I'm sorry. I have to go back here. Too many things going on. And let me go back to here. Yes. So now I'm on the right screen. I brought this photo into the picture, so to speak, pardon the pun, because it reminded me of Paper Girl BK in terms of another mobile installation. So Marj, please speak to us about this.
Well, the Arts Walk, so Gowanus Open Studios was not able to meet this year, as well as the Atlantic Antic, which is a huge street fair on Atlantic Avenue. And I always say my favorite holiday because that's how much I love it. And so in lieu of those two events, they did Arts Walk Gowanus on Atlantic Avenue. And this is literally 3 blocks from my home.
Okay.
The spot they chose for our work. I submitted 5 images, and they actually ended up doing the entire fence on both sides.
Wow.
Because they saw how many small businesses we've done that actually are on Atlantic Avenue, and they were like, we need to get those in there. But it does become a part of the community when it's right on the fence on the corner of Atlantic and Hoyt, you know, so it is similar to Paper Girl in that way.
Right.
Outside art, you lost it.
I know, I'm sorry. No, I was looking for, there we go. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Marj. Go ahead.
That's Mom. There I am. It was pouring rain the day we hung this, and they are all made of plastic. So it was this. It's still up actually, extended past the actual date of the closing of the art show.
Right.
And it's just an honor to be there. I kind of can't even take it in. Like it's
Right.
down the street.
Well, you know, rain, snow, shine, whatever. The show must go on, and I tell you, it's wonderful that I love the way they displayed it. I love the way Sina and Annie put up all their displays. You know, especially that they're so all about doing everything that's good for the community in terms of the way they paste the artwork up on the walls, the way they transport it everywhere. Hats off to you guys for all the effort and all the work that you both do with that project on Paper Girl BK. But let's talk about someone really, really dear and special here. Let's talk about Mom for a minute and the same brownstone that you grew up in that you're now talking to us from. What a special story you have.
Oh, thank you. That was probably when my parents looked at the house. It was probably before. Oh no, the tree is there because they planted that tree. It was when they probably had first bought it. And yeah, my mom is in a sheepskin coat. Oh my God, it's so 1969. It's probably before I was born, actually, like just before.
Yeah.
My mom, I lost her when I was 22, and she was 52, and she died of breast cancer, and her mom had died of breast cancer. It's like, she's been gone a long time, and she had a tough life actually, and so we had a challenging relationship. But I'm very open.
Oh no!
But I still think about her a lot, and now that I've lost my dad as well, almost 2 years ago. Wow.
Yeah.
I think about them a lot, and they're all around me. I mean, I can sort of still.
You know, but you have the gift. You have the gift of what they gave you, besides, of course, life, and of course, the brownstone, the stoop. You know, so. Trust me, Mom and Dad are watching over you, and they know they know exactly the stories you're telling. So
thank you. Yeah, there's some. Thank you.
But you know, the stoop has so much history. Whether it's the Bronx, whether it's Brooklyn, whether it's Greenwich Village, and a great play like The Heights by one of all of our favorites, probably Lin-Manuel Miranda. You know, the Heights. This photo, still from the Heights, is literally, wow. This is New York, man. You know.
Yeah, I'm a huge musical theater chick, and I In the Heights is one of my favorite shows, way before Hamilton. And they're working on the film. So Lara Weinberg, my co-producer, and I. Lara does most of these, what we call the Stoop scenes, and also these Throwback Thursday things, Stoops in history. So she chose, she and our volunteer, Kate, actually, editorial volunteer, chose the In the Heights story to celebrate Washington Heights. And then this next one, again, we try to harken back to old, Stoops have been around a really long time. Well,
I want to give a big shout out to all the small business owners in the Heights too, because I used to go up to the Heights all the time, and I used to have, oh man, do I miss the Dominican food up there? Oh man, and let me tell you, just all the food up there, just the best food in the world up there. So, but going through some history here also with the neighborhood and these huge old-fashioned sing-alongs that they used to have. Man, I tell you, I know we're in a tough time right now, but I can hardly wait till we can get back to this, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what's inspiring is that people are still finding ways to celebrate safely.
Right.
You know, they wear masks and they stay as distant as they can. And
right. But let's talk about the importance also of Stoop Stories, and I'm sure Paper Girl BK has a lot to do with community activism too, and other things. But you know, all this that's going on right now, people losing their jobs, so many things, you know, going under. You know, landlords with the rents. You know, we all have to work together here, folks, to get through this. So talk to us about the community and what's happening, Marj, in many ways with evictions, and how we need to stay on top of all this to help people out, at least with the spread of information, so that they're not left alone.
Yes, yes. I'm so glad that you found this image. It was really a powerful day. So these landlords, I'm just going to say, these awful landlords kicked these young women of color out in the middle of the night. One had just had surgery. It was insane, and it was illegal. And they threw their stuff out on the street. Oh. And what was incredible, it was early July, and the movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, was pretty strong already. And so there was an instant call on Justice for George. Justice for George, the Instagram account that is like a clearinghouse, for it shares a centralized information hub about the movement. Right. They shared that these tenants were being kicked out, and within like an hour or so, there were like 100 protesters there, and they literally had a stoop in. They all sat on the stoop, and they were like, "We're not going anywhere. You cannot kick these people out in the middle of the night. This is not okay." And they ended up kicking him out. Like they, I mean, he was really abusive, and they were like, "You need to get out because it's not safe for you to be like you're." It was traumatizing for them. So the next day, I think, or 2 days later, maybe, I went down, it was in Crown Heights, and I interviewed the woman who's sitting on the right, is a volunteer. She's not one of the tenants, but she was the spokesperson from, I think, Equity for Flatbush group. Okay. And she was like, yeah, the tenants are pretty traumatized, so they're not able to talk, but I'll tell you what happened. And we did a live chat because it was just really, it was so disturbing that this was happening, and it was like,
we can't allow these things to go on, even though they do. We have to be part of the community, stick up for people, stick up for what's right in the society of ours, and not let things happen like this. What a horrible thing for anybody to do. I mean, everybody's going through so much, and some more than others. But you know, it takes a village. And that's what you've documented. So, you know, we want to highlight everybody that's been involved in many things. I love this portrait you did of this young lady.
Oh, thank you. Unite New York is an organization with 3 different founders, and Elena is one of them. And she's, as she says, she's Latinx, but she passes for white. And she's like, most people don't know that, and it's a weird situation. And But she, this was actually, probably just after John Lewis passed away. And so she was, that was where the sign came from. And this was in Greenpoint. Yeah.
Sure. God bless John Lewis, one of my heroes, a lot of people's heroes, and one of the saddest moments lately, seeing him pass away. But I know Dawn Porter, who produced and directed Good Trouble, and also The Way I See It with Pete Souza. Everybody should see that as well. Yeah. So, you know, this Good Trouble is what we need to be a part of. And I love this collage that you did on Instagram of many different people in the stories, but we're going to highlight some of them. One of the things I want to get to, though, we're at the 1 hour mark, so we'll go a little over today. But I want to highlight this story because this really grabbed me. And I don't know if Sina and Annie know about it, but this is really interesting. Why don't you tell us all about this, Marj?
I love this one. This is Kelly, who's a former Airbnb guest of mine. I have an Airbnb room in my home, which I haven't used in a while, of course. But so she's in North Carolina, and we had opened up the community to say, if you want to share your own Stoop story, send in a picture And we have a forum for that. We haven't activated that as much as we would like. We're going to do more of that. But anyway, Kelly's in North Carolina. She's a physical therapist at a nursing home at the height of the pandemic, and of course, was a big threat. And I just love how naturally, this was actually without any prompting. Kelly sent this to me, and she's like, I don't have a gorgeous brownstone stoop, but will this do?
Wow. That is so cool. That is
incredible,
so cool.
right? And it really looks stoopy, and it's in a nursing home. Everyone who's ever dealt with physical therapy knows those stairs. And the beautiful thing about Kelly is that she had been with her partner of, is it more than 20 years? And her partner was in the Navy, so they were not able to get married, and it was don't ask, don't tell. So they actually had right after this, they had a Zoom wedding. We held this picture for their wedding, and I photographed their wedding over Zoom.
Oh, wow. Wow, you got to love these stories, man. I mean,
it's kind of cool. Yeah, so they got married finally, and they have a daughter who's like my niece now, Pearl, in New York, who, like, she grew up with two moms that weren't married, and they finally got married during the pandemic, and it was just really, really moving.
Well, I want to get into some more stories one day with Sina and Annie. Listen, I wanted to thank both of you so much for coming on the show. I can't tell you, it's so great to be able to bring this community together on a live stream and be able to make you a part of the Spinach Social Hour, and also highlight all of the great work that you have done together. So listen, I wanted to wish you guys a great weekend, a safe weekend, and I hope to stay in touch, and please do, okay?
Yeah, thank you to both of you. We're so glad to be in touch with Marj, and now with you. So this is, community in its essence, which is wonderful.
It is. Annie, any parting words, Annie?
That is the core of our project, Marj Project 2, and that's wonderful. And yeah, please visit our installations, listen to the audio program. We have a very special information that we wanted to share with you guys through Resident Voices.
Okay. Well, listen.
And Marj's work is at Greenpoint.
That's right.
Yes, check it out.
Check out Marj's photo at the Greenpoint installation, and be sure to check out Paper Girl BK. All right, Annie and Sina, take care.
Thank you, guys.
All right, bye-bye. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
This is amazing, Stefan. I can't believe
I have to cover up my light here a little because the light is booming outside. Anyway, David Block says, awesome presenter too. Oh, well, thank you, David. I really appreciate that. Sue Darby, bravo indeed. Thank you, David. David is
Thank you, Sue.
Sue, thank you, Stefan. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Marj. So anyway, wonderful story there, but we're going to move on here and show a few more photos. Let's get to, let me show this one of this beautiful couple. We don't want to just pass everybody, but we have to move on a little. Once again, it's not always about a stoop, but it's about people living in the neighborhood and telling their stories, including, do you want to make a quick mention of this couple?
Sure. This is Nara and Torin. Actually, Nara is in the Resistance Revival Chorus and was a big part of connecting me to them to do the Stoop story.
Wonderful.
She's a major activist. She's always, and a documentary filmmaker as well. Yeah, she's amazing. She's always running around like a crazy person, shooting and doing stuff and fighting for what's right. And Torin is Tolan, is an essential worker.
Okay.
So they were a really special couple. Like at the time, Nara was bringing food to the hospital nearby and playing in a band outside the nursing home while Colin was going to.
There are, the stories out of this pandemic are endless. Sadly enough, many of them, are about the loss of life. But we also have to make sure that we celebrate and that we recognize all of the people, such as this couple and beyond, that have helped so much. All of our essential workers, all of our everybody who's done their part. My God, so many people have gone to work under the most dangerous of circumstances, and we thank you for that, and we want to honor you and highlight you. One of the things I want to do in terms of honoring and highlighting somebody is bring on my co-producer, Jonathan, and let Jonathan, who drives the car behind the scenes and helps us get all the caption information, all the information up on the board every week, and helps me create this show every week with the captions and the questions. Jonathan, introduce yourself, please.
Well, Jonathan Borstein, full-time fleur, sometime writer, part-time tech, and I provide captions and occasionally capture comment. Back to the regular program.
So, Jonathan, do you have a question for Marj this week?
I think Marj has been questioned out.
Never. I could talk all day. No.
Well, let's keep Jonathan on here to give him a little more airtime this week, and let's go through some of these. So let's recognize one of these essential workers, because I'm glad you said this before we went on the air. But this postal worker that we're going to bring up is not only has one of the most beautiful smiles around, but you said that his story and his your post on him was the hit of Stoop Stories.
I don't like to play favorites, but
no,
but the audience does. This is Kiefer, our mail carrier in the area, and he absolutely, hands down, has been the most popular of all our stories. He resonated with people. He shared that he was working like 7 days a week without any hazard pay. And a local mom, Jane, actually said, "Oh, wait a minute, we've gotta raise some money. Like, what's his Venmo? Let's get some money to this guy." And it was shared like thousands of times. It was like one of the most viral posts we've had. We have other favorites, but Kiefer's just so lovely. He's just a really sweet guy.
Oh man, I'm so glad that I decided to put this in here, and then it just so happens that that's the story. Another great story to highlight here. They're all great, but folks, find Kiefer's photo on Marj's Instagram at Stoop Stories, and let's make sure that we get it out there even more now, along with all the other stories. Because look at the work that Kiefer's been doing to keep everybody getting their mail, putting his own life at risk all the time, the way many postal workers have done. And Lord help me for saying this and bringing the politics into this, but the way our U.S. postal system has been besieged by this craziness. They do so much work. So Kiefer's got just the best smile, though.
Yeah. A few of my friends were teasing. They were like, I said, "Did you read Kiefer's story? It's really moving." And they were like, "His story? We were just looking how gorgeous he was." And I was like, "You guys." This is also an example of a stoop that was borrowed. This is my neighbor, Wendy, because Kiefer was on his route and he couldn't share the mail truck, but he was like, stoops are meant to be shared. So.
Well, the lighting and the angle that you took this at is the epitome of a beautiful portrait.
Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely beautiful, because it's just perfect. It's just perfect. There's nothing to say about it except that. But let's also continue on here with some of the great community activists and leaders. And here's a hero in New York City that has not only been a police officer, but also very, very proactive in the Black Lives Matter movement and many other things. Please talk to us about Eric Adams.
My pleasure. Eric Adams is the
I'm sorry, Adams.
It's okay. Our Brooklyn borough president, the first African-American borough president. This is not only Brooklyn's front stoop, but it's his front stoop during the pandemic. And that's how I pitched it. He was living there. We found out inside Borough Hall, because it was like their command center. And that's how dedicated he is. So he was sleeping in his office, and he agreed to do this. And it's just been, and that was the site also of so many protests and it's a hangout, like it's a public forum. It still is. And it's right across from Cabin Plaza Park, where the George Floyd Memorial was. Right. And meanwhile, Eric Adams, who's probably about to run for mayor like any minute, and I personally would love him to be mayor. He's a former police captain who's also fought against police brutality. So, and he's sort of beloved by all sides, which is hard to do. He's a good one.
He really is. In the past, I ran into him a couple of times. He probably does not remember me, but I documented the NYPD for 10 years in the 90s. My mom is a retired New York City police officer. She was on the job for 17 years. and she was one of the first 6 women cops to patrol with the men in 1973. So I wanted to give a shout out to my mom and all that she did as a female trailblazer. And, you know, so Eric Adams probably knows, I wouldn't be surprised if he knows my mom from back in the days, you know. But anyway, so let's go on here and let's talk about other community activists, please.
Sure, sure. Even though we're Brooklyn Central, we venture into other boroughs, of course, sometimes, because that's the world around us. And this is Queen Jean. She is one of the biggest voices in the Black Lives Matter movement in New York. And every Thursday night, she and Joelle Rivera do the Stonewall protests. And so this is literally, there's a stoop next to the Stonewall Inn. So how perfect is that? And that's where they speak from. It's just incredible.
Yep.
Yeah, and I just want to say, like, I'm just going to say it. The police came out in force in riot gear at the Stonewall protest on this past Thursday night, and they brutalized some people in sequin dresses. Like, one of the leader, Joel, is like a tiny person in a beautiful sequin dress and was on the ground being aggressively arrested for having a bullhorn. That was what she was charged with. And I don't know, they're targeting trans people because that's where a lot seems to erupt after they start to march. It's like it starts out kind of quiet at Stonewall, and when they march to town, something like, I don't know why these people would be threatening. They're beautiful, like just gorgeous souls, and they celebrate their trans life with joy. And
we have we have a lot of work to do. Not over a bullhorn, guys. No way. You know, so
exactly.
I mean, not over. There's no room for brutality anyway, shape or form.
Exactly.
So, you know, period. Not over a bullhorn or anything. There's many ways of dealing with things, but you know, obviously, you know, she's been a very big part of the movement here in Times Square during one of the protests for Breonna Taylor and others. We will not let this rest. Our system in many ways is broken, and we need to fix it. And we're going to be on this now, and we're going to continue doing that. But also, you know, Brooklyn, you know, you have to incorporate a photo of the Brooklyn Bridge, one of my favorite bridges in the world. I've walked it dozens of times. And Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America and many other groups have taken to it. And Marj has been there to document it too and make it part of this story. So that's another great important factor. All over Brooklyn with many protests, including this beautiful and powerful shot. Powerful.
Thank you.
But the portraits that you do equally, you know, stand out so much in this project. And we want to highlight that as well, along with the beautiful artwork on many of these stoops. You know, the messaging, whether it's handheld with these beautiful portraits over the most important subject there is of Black Lives Matter, or the beautiful community message of love and peace, and that we're all in this together. We are. And I just wanted to highlight a lot of this work as we come to a close with this show. But I wanted to also say one of the things that's beautiful about Brooklyn, and talk about this for a brief moment, Marj, about how people use these beautiful brownstone windows to get their message across.
Yeah, I mean, we don't all have lawns, and we have these big windows. So, but this house in particular, which I think is on Geralman Street,
right,
in Brooklyn Heights, they always have these amazing protest signs up for many years now. And yeah, I appreciate Brooklynites they tend to be very active and liberal and progressive. And
I should have moved to Brooklyn a long time ago when I had the chance. I was meant to be in Brooklyn after Greenwich Village, but you know what? Life takes its course and everything's fine.
Yeah. I mean, Brooklyn's become super swank and unaffordable for so many people, which is not right.
No, it's not. It's not.
But Yeah, and I want to underscore there's so many neighborhoods outside of like the downtown Brownstone, Brooklyn area that are yet to be explored. So we do not want to ignore them.
Oh, no. And Marj, please, like Marj said, get in touch with Marj, get in touch with Annie and Sina, and all of these great community activists who do great documentary work and other things. And, you know, because look, I'm so proud of you, and I'm so happy to know that ICP incorporated some of your work into one of their major exhibitions. Is it still up?
Thank you. Yes. I actually just watched the curator's tour with David Campany. I mean, what's amazing is this is over 1,000 photographers all over the world. A lot of them are in New York, and they chose one image per photographer to tell the story of the entire period from March till the election. Actually, that was what they chose as the end point. And how much, when you walk through it, it's laid out by month: March, April, May, June, July.
Right.
And it goes from the pandemic through Black Lives Matter, through the fires, through the election. I mean, it's an incredible story.
Yeah, I have to get there to see this because I love the way they have it laid out, and I love the fact that they have it broken up by month throughout the year. So that's fantastic. And a big shout out to ICP.
Oh my God.
Please, everyone support ICP. I'm begging you practically, because ICP was one of the reasons that I evolved as a photographer. I took a course there a long time ago, one of my very few courses in life in photography, with Alan Frame, my mentor. Alan Frame, Frame, look him up. We're going to get him on this show one day. Alan, you're coming on this show. And you don't get a better name for a photography teacher than Frame.
Right? Exactly.
And he kickstarted my documentary work with the NYPD. He said, your mom's a cop, a retired cop. Document the NYPD. And we talked about it. He helped me shape it. And he was the one that lit the fire under my butt, so to speak.
Amazing. Yeah, ICP is incredible. I took classes there as well. And there's my partner, Lara.
We want to give a big shout out. So why don't you tell us as we close the show here about Lara, because we wanted to make sure that she gets a huge shout out for helping and being your co-producer with all of this.
Thank you. And if she were more of a morning person, she might be. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, you're going to see more of Lara in the future. Do not worry. She's an amazing writer, producer, and we've been friends a really long time. But this is us at the Brooklyn Children's Museum because, sneak peek, we're going to be rolling something out there for.
All right. Well, I picked the right photo to close with then.
You did. That's what's coming next. We're very, very excited. So stay tuned. But yeah, Lara and I are really thrilled to expand this project. It's ongoing. We're currently focused on COVID and social injustice, but the stories are not going to end. And we're going to be rebuilding the city for a long time, and communities are going to need to support each other. So
I want to give a big shout out to everything Brooklyn. I love Brooklyn. I can't wait to get back to Brooklyn and do some more walking and visits to museums and everything else. But I also want to give a shout out to my dear friend Mitchell Silver, who lives in Brooklyn and is born and bred Brooklynite. Mitchell is the New York City Parks Commissioner. And, I see Brooklyn and I think of Janine, his sister, and Mitchell, and God bless Sam. We will always think of Sam, his brother who passed away. Love you, Sam, up in heaven. But anyway, sorry, I had to throw in my few Brooklyn plugs here for my friends. But Marj, I can't thank you enough for coming on this show. And I want everybody to check out Stoop Stories and marjkleinman.com. And also help Marj out. See anybody in Brooklyn or beyond that wants to help out with Stoop Stories. Let her know. She's looking for volunteers and be a part of this, because this is a very, very special project that she's worked on, and she deserves our attention, everybody.
Oh, thank you so much, Stefan. Yeah, I want to say, we really want to share community stories. So other photographers, guest photographers from different communities and storytellers. We actually had a 10-year-old photographer that did a story recently.
Oh, wow.
Rita. Yep. And they were amazing photographs. 10 years old. So we're really excited to have more people get involved making their own stories, you know.
Okay. Well, we have Stefan here from he was on all along from Asbury Park today, normally from Chelsea and Manhattan. Stefan was a previous guest. We did a great show on border artists, featuring artists from both sides of the U.S.-Mexico border. We had some Monica Lozano on, and a bunch of other people. So it was just great. But Marj, I'm going to close out the show. Please stay on. I want to do something with you that we normally do after the show.
Okay.
I want to do a quick photo with you. Actually, you know what? We could do it right now with Jonathan on the screen here. That'll make it easier. And Jonathan's going to put his his beautiful hat on. And I'm going to do my typical thing. And we're going to smile. Okay. And then we're going to do one more just for safekeeping here as we close out the show. All right. And what we're going to do is, if you want to stay on, I'll have a few words with you. Let me close out by saying goodbye to everybody. Stay right there, Marj. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Right. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to close out another Spin It Social Hour with a quick mention of our guest next week. And that is the incredible Anthony Quintano. I can hardly wait to have Anthony on. He's one of my techie photography dream photographers. This guy is a tech wizard, does everything from GoPro work to the highest quality digital work. Anthony is going to be on from Mount Laurel, New Jersey next week. And I have to tell you, you're going to love Anthony's work. So please join us. Let everybody know about this. November 14th, 10 a.m., our usual Spin It Social Hour. Please, everybody, make sure you share this broadcast and let everybody know about Marj and let everybody know about Anthony next week and the Spin It Social Hour on YouTube, where you can find all 31 shows. Growing and growing and growing our community is. And I want to also give a big shout out to Sri Srinivasan and the Sunday NYT Read Along tomorrow. Sri is a very dear colleague of mine who I work with to this day on many projects. And he is celebrating 5 years of the NYT Read Along with producer Neil Parekh, Julia Weeks, Steve Taylor, Carla Baranakis, and Paula. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Paula. Big Green Pen on Twitter and Instagram. Please follow her. I'm drawing a blank right now. Excuse me, Paula. I'm sorry. But tomorrow, Sri's guest is political strategist and consultant Jeffrey Plout. So please join him for the NYT Read Along as they explore the best of the New York Times and media in general. 5 years running. And then closing out with She's on Call, my two favorite doctors, Dr. Sujana and Dr. Marina, for one of the best shows that's not only COVID related, but all health related. Learn a lot every week with Dr. Sujana and Dr. Marina all over social media with She's on Call. Please join them. And I have to tell you, folks, as we close out, and you'll join us next week for Anthony, thank you so much for everything. It's been another wonderful Spin It Social Hour. I will see everybody next week with Jonathan here, Saturday, 10 a.m. Once again, Stefan Kaplan signing off. Have a great weekend. And hopefully, well, I know we're going to be there by next week. We will be on a new path. Hang in there, everybody. The call is coming, and we know what that's going to be. Hang tough, stay sane, and be well. And please, mask up and take care of yourselves. Bye-bye, everybody.